quantum entanglement processing system that gives an upgrading to the great majority of everything that has its own ecosystem within the factors of planet Earth. Now, now, this plasma vortex of energy is coming from the solar energetic particle chain that is basically streaming intelligence down from the mental plane, which is also known as the magnetosphere, which manipulates the ionosphere and the atmosphere, which is why you have the manipulation process of oxidation levels. So the oxidation levels is basically being manipulated because of the solar radiation that's being projected from the energetic particles of what I call neutrinos. Neutrinos are Holy Ghost particles. Holy Ghost particles have the ability to travel down to the planet at 90-degree angles because it's basically the numerical code for the resurrection process, right? So what you're seeing taking place right now is basically a form of time dilation. The more that you see the plasmic vortex open during the time of the solar energetic chain particle being extracted from the mental plane, that solar radiation in itself dematerializes the electrical grid to where you have a manipulation of power outages. So the more the planet speeds up in vibration to create these plasma vortexes, what's going to happen is you're going to have the collapse of the third dimension in totality, which is why you see in the great majority of everything that was rigged and everything, they said it was conspiracy. The illusion is breaking. The house of cards is falling because you're having the merging of black holes. The merging of black holes is two different dimensional realities merging together, right? So that means that the material order is merging in with the quantum world at the same time. That's what's taking place. That is when you're talking about the pillar of severity and mercy. That is what you're talking about when you're talking about chaos and order. That is when you're talking about the crook and flail in ancient Kemetic spirituality, which is also a representation of judgment through a great purification period through balancement. Everything has to go through a restoration period, which is the supplication process. So now, they said, astrophysics says there are now 1 to 2 Starlink satellites falling back to Earth every single day. So like I said, the satellite is teleconnected to the moon. The moon is teleconnected to Saturn because Saturn is basically like, the PS5. And then the moon is basically like the TV. And then all the electrical cords is basically like the satellites that is teleconnected to Saturn and the moon. So when you have the manipulation process of the satellites, that basically disconnects the game. That disconnects the motherfucking TV. That disconnects the whole PS5. That means that the game is over. So when you have a manipulation process that's taking place within the electrical grid because you